Cool. Hi everyone, I'm Josh, and I'm very excited to talk to you about Guards of Atlantis 2. So Guards of Atlantis 2 is a board game version of what is commonly known as MOBAs, multiplayer online battle arena games. So what those games are, they're effectively games where two teams of heroes fight head-to-head on a map to essentially push this sort of battle that's happening through to the opponent's zone, while simultaneously defending the push from coming through to their own zone, and then attack and kill the other heroes in the meantime. This is a very sort of a very well done implementation of this format in board game form. So as mentioned, it consists of two teams of heroes fighting against each other, going head to head. I'll quickly explain how the game works, and then I will talk about how I feel about it. So how this game works is there's two ways that the game can end. So the first way, and arguably the simplest way, is every time a hero is killed, that team loses a certain number of these hearts. So these hearts can flip over and then they become sort of dead. So how many hearts the team loses depends on the level of the hero. So in this case, you can see Tali here. Tali is level 5, which is tier 2. So if Tali died, then her team would lose 2 hearts. And then if Hanu was, say, level 7, tier 3, if Hanu died, then the team would lose 3 hearts. And if the team makes their way down to 0 hearts, then they lose. So as you level up and get stronger throughout the game, you get stronger, but the stakes get higher, and it becomes more likely that you can lose more quickly if your heroes die. It also becomes harder to kill you as well. And everyone will level up on kind of roughly sort of the same curve, not quite. Some heroes level up faster than others, and games can play out wildly differently. But in general, as the game goes on, the tension increases and the stakes increase, which is really cool. The second way that the game can end is through what are called lane pushes. So there's probably lots of different ways of referring to them, but we call them pushes. So how they work is you can see there's this central area here. So the board is divided into 7 areas. And the central area is the starting battle zone. And in this battle zone, you can see there's a bunch of minions, these sort of colored lumps of plastic in each team's color. And when all the minions of a particular color are killed, the team that's color is left wins the push, as it's called. And then all minions will effectively move and respawn in this zone on the various icons that you can see here. And then there will be a new battle happening in here. And then if, again, at that point, all the minions are killed of the blue team, then the orange team would win that push as well, and then would effectively move into this area, which means that the orange team has at that point won the game. So if any team wins 2 pushes in a row, then they win the game. And you win those pushes, like I mentioned, by killing minions. The most common way in our experience that the game can end is on the 5th and final push. So if, let's say, orange team wins, it goes into here. Blue team wins, it goes back. Blue team wins, it goes into here. Orange team wins, it goes back here. And now you're in the middle zone again on the 5th and final push. The winner of that 5th and final push wins the game. And we find that's a fairly common way for the game to end. It's quite a satisfying moment when you do win as a result of a hero kill or as a result of a final push. But it's not as common in our experience. And I'm sure that every table will have a different meta and it will play out very, very differently. In terms of the actual structure of the game, how it's going to work is, like in this case, we have a game with 5 players. Now, I will say 5 players is not considered the ideal way to play this game, the ideal player count. Odd-numbered players in general aren't considered ideal. Ideally, you will have 2 teams of evenly balanced heroes. In this case, I've kind of left the setup as it was in a game that we played last night, where we only had 5 people. Someone wasn't able to make it. there is a way to handle a sort of imbalance of player counts. And how that works is one of the teams, the team with more heroes, will get one of their cards replaced with what's called a handicap card. And that card is less powerful than the normal version of the card. And it works extremely well. How it typically works is most heroes have 2 attacks that they can do per round. When you're playing with handicap cards, you do have 2 attacks. Most heroes do, much like a normal game, but one of your attacks can't target minions, which is quite a significant disadvantage when it comes to doing the minion battles. But of course, instead of having those minion attacks, you have 3 heroes instead of 2. Now this sounds like it shouldn't work all that well, but it works amazingly well. Which is really, really cool because usually almost all games I've played of this have been at even numbered counts. Spoiler alert, it's not hard for me to get people together to play this game. Most of the people I've played it with love it. But when we do find that there's sort of a last minute change and we play odd number, it's still a great time. In fact, last night, the odd number game that we played had one of the most interesting, sort of satisfying endings in the game of cards that I've played, and that was really, really cool to see. And both teams felt like it was really, really well balanced, despite it seeming like a significant imbalance where one team has fewer heroes than the other. So that's quite cool. But so in this 5-player instance, every player has a hand of 5 cards. This is pretty much always going to be the case for every hero. You'll have a hand of 5 cards. There will be your sort of gold and your silver, which will never change throughout the game. These 2 cards will always be the same. And then you'll have a red, green, and a blue. And these cards can level up and get stronger throughout the game. And how it's going to work is every player is going to, all players at the start are going to discuss strategy for the round. And you can discuss openly. In fact, you must discuss openly. And if you can show cards to each other and stuff, but if you're showing a card to a teammate to say, hey, should I do this? What do you think about this? You have to show the card openly to the table because there is no hidden communication between teams while you're playing. This seems a little bit gimmicky initially, but it is quite cool how it impacts how the game plays out. It's not really gimmicky at all. When you actually play it, it makes sense. The game would not work as well without this rule of sort of open communication. So you communicate openly, you must communicate openly. Everyone is going to pick a card, and they're going to play that card face down. So let's say the situation ends up like this. So everyone has played a card face down. Now, once all the cards are down, face down on the table, at that point, everyone reveals simultaneously, okay, here's the cards that we all chose, and then communication at that point must stop completely. So you are now no longer to talk with anyone about what you are doing. No strategy talk whatsoever is allowed at this point in time. Now, we do have a sort of tongue-in-cheek house rule where the one thing you're allowed to say is do the right thing. Now, often we say that that's not really appropriate while you're playing because it can be a bit of a giveaway. And you're not allowed to do things like say, do the left thing, or do the right thing, because you can kind of give away strategy a little bit there. So that is, table talk not permitted at this point in the game. And now what you're going to do is in initiative order, and initiative is the number in the top left of the card. The player with the highest initiative is going to go first, and they're going to do their action, and then it's going to go in sort of descending initiative order around the table. If at any point 2 or more people across teams are tied for initiative, so a red player and a blue player are tied for initiative, this is the tiebreaker coin, and the team that side it's on currently is going to take their turn, and the tiebreaker coin will flip. And then the next time there is a tie between across teams in initiative, then the other team will get the priority. So that's quite a cool mechanism for resolving priority ties. But Each of these cards has multiple options on it. Well, generally, most of them, I should say, have multiple options on them. So you can do things like you can move, you can perform a skill or an attack, and those are kind of what you use the cards for. And you can decide in the moment what you're going to use it for. So you may have had a perfect strategy planned out, and you play your card, and the cards are revealed, and your opponent does something, and then you realize, oh, I can't actually do what I was planning on doing anymore. I'm going to have to change my strategy a little bit. I was going to attack, but now I need to move instead, or something along those lines. Attacks are pretty straightforward. If you attack a minion, if your card allows you to validly target a minion, and you attack a minion, the minion just dies. And then you get 2 coins from the bank. And that's quite cool. So let's say I'm here and I play an attack, and then I target this minion and it dies. Cool, I get 2 coins. And now my team has a slight advantage in the minion battle. So attacks on minions are pretty simple. Attacks on heroes are a bit more complex, but still pretty simple. You have this number on the card showing the attack value, which in this case is 4. If I attack a hero, that hero has to play a card from their hand. Let's say the situation is kind of like, let's say we're here and here. Actually, let's make it more interesting. Let's do this. So we're here and here. I'm attacking this hero for 4. This hero needs to defend. Now, minions, if you're standing next to these melee minions, and they're yours, you get a 1 defense boost. If you're standing next to an opponent's melee minion, you get a 1 defense subtraction. If you're standing within range 2 of an opponent's ranged minion, you get a -1 defense subtraction, and no boost if you're standing next to them. So minion positioning does matter in terms of the defensive boosts and subtractions that it gives to you. So in this case, I'm attacking for 4, and he needs to defend. And let's say in this case, the only card that he can defend with that's high enough to defend, because he actually needs to defend for 5, he needs to defend for 3. Actually, in this case, he's standing next to a friendly. So he has the screen card, and the screen card has a 3 defense, a 3 shield icon, sort of underneath the initiative number. So he can successfully defend my 4 attack with this 3 defense. So he'll take this and he'll put it into his discard pile and say, cool, I successfully defended your attack. If he didn't defend the attack, he would immediately die. He can also choose not to defend the attack, so he would die, he would go off board, and then the team would lose that number of hearts of whatever level. So in this case, level 5, so they would lose 2 hearts. At that point, I would gain the number of coins that is his level, so I would gain 5 coins, and everyone else in my team would gain the number of coins that is his tier, so that heart icon. So everyone else in my team would gain 2 coins. So killing a low-level hero, like let's say I kill a level 1, would get me 1 coin, everyone else in my team 1 coin. That's not that amazing. It's pretty decent, but it might not be quite as good as killing a minion, for example, at least not for me. But as the game goes on, killing heroes can give you a significant number of coins, which are used to level up your hero. But that's the really, really basic summary of how sort of the game turns work, how the structure works. Now, pretty much every attack and skill and even some of the movement cards, they're different. So they all work in different ways. These cards, the structure of the card is that initiative that I mentioned. Sometimes they'll have a defense. Well, they will have a defense. It just might be quite low in some cases. They'll have a move, sometimes, not always, and then they'll have their attack or their skill at the bottom. And those attacks and skills have text on them that tell you exactly how they work. And they're all very different. Some of them might be ranged, some of them are not ranged. You can target certain units, so there'll be certain effects that can happen before or after the attack. There's a huge amount of variety between the heroes and their abilities and their attacks, which is really cool. So that's the overall sort of rough structure of how the game works. In terms of movement, it works kind of like how you'd expect. Like a 1 move means I can move 1 space. 2, I can move 1, 2. You can just move in that direction. There is a thing called fast travel, which is really cool. A great way to sort of open up the early game mobility, and then find really cool moments throughout the game for extra mobility, which is that if the space that you are in has no enemy units in it, which includes minions or heroes, you may fast travel. Now you can fast travel to anywhere in the space that you are currently in, or you can fast travel into any space into an adjacent region, as long as that adjacent region also does not have enemy minions or heroes in it. So I could fast travel, Misa could fast travel all the way over to here, for example. So in general, pretty much always in the opener of the game, every hero is going to fast travel for their initial position. So the start, everyone's going to be like, okay, I'm going to go here, and I'm going to go here, I'm going to go here. So they're all going to move out pretty far to engage that early position of the game. So that's how fast travel works. And yeah, how it's going to work, the game's just going to sort of play out in rounds. So once everyone does their action, they'll resolve their cards. So they'll put their card in that sort of turn 1 slot on their board to say, okay, I'm done. And then the next player is going to go and resolve their card. So in this case, prepare spells would be first Gideon's card. So he'd resolve that. And then between these two, the red team has the tiebreaker, so that would flip. And then Hanu would resolve the 12. And then Misa would resolve their 12 and do their thing. Then I would do my 11. And then Tali would do her 9. And now at this point, we've now resolved all our cards. Everyone's taken all their turns, done all their things. We would now move on to the next turn in the round, and we would do the same again. Except now, obviously, you have fewer cards to choose from, because you always start with 5 at the start of the round. Now I've only got 4, which is interesting. And as you may have noticed, when I attacked Hanu earlier, and Hanu had to discard a card. Well, I think I got it wrong. I made Tali discard a card for Hanu, but regardless, when I attacked Tali earlier on, and then Tali had to discard a card, and then maybe she defended successfully, Tali is now on turn 2 and looking at only 3 cards in her hand, which is quite a change. And then let's say someone else attacks Tali, and now she's down to 2 cards in and she's on round 3. And she's only got 2 cards in her hand. Sorry. So she's been attacked twice. She's discarded 2 cards to defend those attacks. She's now in round 3. She's only got 1 card. So Tali's got no options, and let's say we're in round 3. She's got no option but to play that 1 card. You have to play a card every turn if you can. You can choose to hold, which means that you do nothing that turn, but you have to play the card. So she would play the card and resolve it, and now it's turn 4. Tali now has no cards, can't move, and is effectively just a sitting duck. She can't defend herself if she's attacked, so if she gets attacked, she will die. So that is a very interesting sort of way that the game rounds play out. The sort of curve plays out as you get weaker and weaker as the round goes on. Your options get more and more limited. So you really have to think about what you're doing for the whole round at the start of each round. Like, what's my plan? What cards am I going to play in roughly what order, assuming things work out the way I want? How am I going to adapt and adjust? So ganking is very real. So like people can all team up on one enemy hero just to whittle down their cards and make it so that they die more easily. It's very rare. It virtually never happens where on the very first turn of the game, a hero will attack another hero and just immediately kill them. I mean, it can happen. There's some significantly huge attacks that can come out and then kill a hero in 1 turn. But generally, heroes' red cards are usually their best attack card and also have a significant defense on them. So worst case scenario, or sort of mid-case scenario, that hero might defend with their red card if they're attacked right away. Which is great, because now they've used their red card and they don't have their best attack anymore. But in general, you want to sort of aim to kill heroes towards the later end of the round, but it makes the tempo of the game really, really, really interesting. But yeah, that is generally how the game is going to work. You're going to play through the round. You're going to do your four turns at the round. At the end of the round, there is what's called a minion battle. And what that means is you're going to compare the number of minions in each team, and the team with fewer minions is going to lose the difference. So in this case, the orange team has 5 minions and the blue team has 6 minions. So the orange team is going to get to pick one of their minions to lose. So now there's even more of a disadvantage for the orange team. It also means that they've denied the blue team a minion kill, so the blue team isn't going to get those coins for that minion. You'll also notice there's these big chunky minions here. So these minions You cannot target them in any way unless your card specifically says you can target immune things. You can't target them until they are the only minion left. So let's say this is the situation. Now, us in the blue team, we can target this orange minion. And now if we kill this minion, the push happens immediately, and whoever kills the minion gets 4 coins instead of 2 coins. So these ones, it's quite common to try to deny the opponent team this minion kill where possible, because 4 coins is a pretty significant boost. So that is the structure of the game. It's going to keep going. And then in between rounds, so the structure of the round, sorry. So in between rounds, players are going to level up. Now, if you have enough coins to level, you must level. And how that's going to work is you start at level 1. When you level, you spend the number of coins equal to your current level. So to level up to level 2, I would spend 1 coin and I would go up to level 2. And now how I level up is I would go, cool, okay, where are my red, green, and blue cards? Those are the ones that I can level up. So I'm going to take those, and you're going to do this secretly. You're also technically, I believe, not allowed to communicate with teammates while you're leveling up. So generally it's table silence while leveling is happening. And you're going to go, cool, here's my 2 red 2 cards, my 2 green 2 cards, and my 2 blue level 2 cards. And you're going to, let's say, okay, I want to level up my red card, so I'm going to put my red card back on my deck, and that's now gone for the rest of the game, my red level 1. And I'm going to level up to, flashback. So I'm going to put flashback into my hand. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the other card that I didn't choose for the level up, and I'm going to put it upside down, and I'm going to stick it under my board. And now every card I play, I will add 1 initiative to it, because that is the initiative icon. So you will get a new card, which is awesome. They're often quite different. The numbers usually go up, and you will also get a permanent boost to your other cards. So the leveling up system is really elegant and really cool. You cannot level up any cards to level 3 until all your cards are at level 2, all your green, blue, and red cards. And that once you do have all your cards at level 2, then you are tier 2. So that happens at level 4, and that means that you're tier 2. Once all your cards are level 3, you'll be tier 3. And then there's only 1 more card to get, which is going to be your ultimate. Now, ultimates don't come out all that often in games. Maybe once every few games there might be an ultimate coming out, maybe even less. And what your ultimate is it depends massively on the hero. Some ultimates are less powerful than others. Like if a hero levels up more easily, their ultimate might not be as powerful. But your ultimate is going to be a pretty significant change for your hero. So in this case, Emmett's ultimate is alternative timelines. So Emmett can now play 2 cards each turn. And if you do, after the cards are revealed, you retrieve 1 of your unresolved cards. So that's pretty amazing. You can basically just always be choosing between 2 options as you're playing, which is a pretty huge difference. So yeah, that I think is pretty much everything. You'll play until one team wins, and then that team will celebrate and the other team will be sad. That's Guards of Atlantis 2. So what are the pros and cons? I guess I'll start with the cons of this game. I'll start with the things that I don't like. So the storage solution for this game is not the most ideal. This is actually, so this box lid that I'm using just to show what the game is, you can probably hardly see it because of the fuzzy camera, but this box lid is from my first edition copy of Guards of Atlantis 2, which came in a huge box. It had lots of trays in it, and depending on how many hero packs that you got, it had like foam, I think, inserts to replace some trays. It wasn't too bad. Like you could get the box out, you have to pull these trays out to find all these heroes and everything, and it wasn't too bad. It kind of worked, but it definitely wouldn't scale. And now to solve the scaling issue, they've done probably the best they can, really. I don't have them here with me, but the base game with the 7 base heroes comes in a sort of normal, sort of Euro game sized box. So like think like kind of the size of like this War of Mine over there. It's kind of like the same size as that. with a tray with the 7 heroes and then all the base game components for the game. And it worked fine. And then each hero pack, I believe there were 5 of them, with 5 heroes in each, came in its own box in the second printing. Now, I bought everything that you could get for this game. And that was very unwieldy because that is 6 boxes and then also the play mats and everything as well, to lug around, because we always want everyone to be able to choose from all the heroes. My group has played this a lot, actually close to 60 times now we've played this game in person. We know the heroes reasonably well, and everyone, the designer of the game, Artyom Shaporov, would probably say, no, you really need to, we probably haven't played enough to play the more advanced heroes, but we love just mixing it up and playing all sorts of different heroes and seeing them all and changing up each time. So every game we play, we want access to all the heroes. So that means 6 boxes getting lugged around and then opened up and then poured through, and then everything needs to go back at the end as well. A pretty big pain, if I'm being honest. And I would love to see like a more, I know they're planning on new hero expansions. I'd love to see like a more extensible big box solution or something just to make it a bit easier to filter through. But in the meantime, I did end up going ahead and coming up with my own solution. So I just bought like sort of it's kind of getting a little bit cut off there, but I bought this this box. I think I got it on Amazon, and I put together this custom solution. So I've got like these card dividers for all the heroes, and then I've kind of jumbled all the minis in here. This would not work if you paint your minis. They would probably get all scratched up. I don't paint my minis, so it actually works fine. Jumbled all the heroes up in here, all the minions up in here, and then the tokens. And then I've got sort of this foam that I'll put on top, and then it kind of and then that can hold all of the player boards on top of it. And it works really well because we don't actually use the cardboard for the game map. We use the neoprene mat. So I've got also a bag that I keep the neoprene mats in. So that means all I need to carry around is the bag for the mats and then this box. And I've got the whole game all in one place, which works really, really amazingly well. And it massively speeds up setup time and teardown time. So yeah, that's one negative, I'd say. And then that's it. Genuinely, that's the only negative I have to say about this game. And it's a minor one, if I'm being honest, because if you get the amount of play out of this game where you need to think about storage solutions and stuff, oh man, it's worth it. This is my favorite game of all time, and it's not close. This has been my favorite game for years now. Like I mentioned, I've played it almost 60 times in person, which is pretty amazing given I've never played it less than 4 players, and I don't think I'd recommend playing it less than 4 players because 1 player driving a team sounds really, really hard because you would need to play as 2 heroes, and there's enough to think about with 1. So I've never played it less than 4, so think about this. I've almost 60 times I've managed to get a group together of at least 4 people, often 6 and 8. Have never had a 10-player game yet, but we're really, really intending to because that sounds like it would be epic, chaotic fun. But we've had many, many, many 4-player games, almost as many 6-player games, and then quite a few 8-player games of this, almost 60 times. It has never fallen flat with anyone I've introduced it to. One of the things I hear about guards a lot is that it is very group dependent. I think it's teacher dependent. Now, this will fall flat with some people. If you want perfect information always, and you think it's dumb that there are cards in the game that you could look up in theory online if you wanted to understand what every single card in the game does, understand every permutation and possibility. If you want that in all your games, you might have a bad time. But if you can let that go and accept the fact that you don't necessarily know everything every hero does, and you don't need to look it up online and find out what all their cards do and understand exactly what everyone's able to do at any point in time. There's a little bit of a fog of war aspect to this. And if you can accept that, I think you will have an absolute banger of a time. It has really never fallen flat. I'd say the majority of people who I've played this with at this point say it's one of, if not their favorite game. But the way that I really lean into that aspect of it while I'm teaching it, I lean into the chaotic nature and the fog of war nature of it. And I say, look, just do your best. but just enjoy the story, enjoy the ride that this game creates as it unfolds, and then you'll have a much better time with it. Um, I like no game really does what this game does in my mind. It's incredibly simple to play. Like you saw how reasonably quick it was, even with me waffling on to teach. I've taught this game so many times. Um, Even if there's a new person in a group, and then we've had others who've played it dozens of times, that new person pretty consistently has a great time because we really bring them along on the ride. We laugh at the misplays with them. We joke around. We praise them when they do something great, and everyone just has a great time. It creates a great dynamic at the table. It's incredibly satisfying as well. Like there are some pretty wild moves that you can pull off. Like I mentioned, so I mentioned last night when we played a 5-player game was one of my favorite endings for a game ever. Emmett has this card called Time Bomb. And what Time Bomb does is so the attacks in the game are the yellow card and the red card. Every player's yellow and red is generally an attack with some exceptions. They're 2 attacks. Emmett's blue card, this level 3 blue card Time Bomb, can make an enemy hero in range who's already resolved a card this turn, discards a card, or is defeated. So this is a card that can it's a non-attack card that can kill an enemy hero. So it's very easy to forget that this is in play. And I killed a hero earlier in the game with Time Bomb as Emmett and surprised them, and it was quite a funny moment, and they're like, well, you're not going to get me with that twice. And literally the very last 2 moves in the game where my teammate killed one of their heroes and took them down to 3 hearts remaining. Or maybe it was 3 hearts remaining or 2 hearts remaining. And then I killed the last hero with Time Bomb, the same hero that I killed the first time with Time Bomb again. And it was a hilarious ending because everyone had forgotten that this card even existed. They'd forgotten everything that had happened earlier. And ending the game with that second Time Bomb was incredibly funny and entertaining, and everyone loved it. There was a game that I played previously as well, not that long ago, an 8-player game of this, where we had Trinkets, who is this hero that has a second mini. So Trinkets they have like a little turret that goes around with them as well. So this little turret. And then one of Trinkets, again, similarly, they've got a non-red or yellow card that can explode the turret. Whoops. And Trinkets put the turret in this group of enemy heroes, and they were all just like, this is fine. And he played this card, and it was like a bomb went off amongst that group, and it just like wiped out a couple of their heroes and ended the game. And it was hilarious and great fun and like a genuinely great play as well. There aren't really that many feel bad moments. Like even when you whiff an attack and you miss it entirely, or like you do an egregious misplay, those moments still make the game. Like I love the fact that you can't talk to your team while you're doing your action, because so often your teammate they'll start doing a thing, and then everyone else in their team will be like, oh, like just trying really, really hard not to like make it too obvious that they're really disappointed in this decision. And like the poker faces are just coming out, and everyone's just like, I'm not saying anything. And the other team is like, don't you dare say anything. You keep your mouth closed. Those moments are so much fun, and they're so entertaining. Even in not all that rare, but even in the occasion when it's a giveaway, like that team, they'll accidentally give something away, or there's accidentally some table talk, and everyone at the table like goes, no, you shouldn't have done that. It's still funny and it's still fun. And like, why do I play games? I play games to have fun. I play them to have a great time, and this game creates great times like no other. I think the minis are really cool as well. Like Emmett in particular, probably my favorite mini. It's just a really, really, really cool mini. He's kind of like on these like these clock faces, and he's like a time traveler, so it really makes sense. He's got some crazy abilities that really line up with him thematically. Like when he plays his gold card, his gold attack, the next turn initiative order is reversed. So slow players move fast and fast players move slow. So he really leans into the theme. There are 32 different heroes, and none of them are remotely the same or similar. They're so incredibly different. Like one of my other favorites, um, she has four minis. Razzle. She has four other minis, identical minis. Sorry, three other identical minis, so four minis total. And those minis will come out on the board, and then they'll disappear, and then they'll come out and disappear. And like you're like, how would it work with a hero that has four minis instead of just one? And it just does. Like it works incredibly well. Gideon has like a separate deck of cards for his spells. And when he plays his main cards, it just has the name of the spell that's hidden in his spell book. And everyone at the table is like, what does that one do again? Like, oh crap, what's going to happen on his turn? Like, I forget. And it kind of tells you roughly what it does. Like his cantrip will tell you, like, Shocking Grasp repels a foe, Magic Missile blasts at range. Expeditious Retreat darts a great distance. So like you kind of have a rough idea, like, okay, I kind of think I get that. And then the spell will actually come out when it's his turn, and then you'll show the spell book, and everyone will be like, whoa, I wasn't expecting that. I forgot about that. It's so cool. Like Hanu can make his opponents do things they don't want to do, or like move really fast when they wanted to move slow. Tali relies on her teammates to like help her to she'll play a card and then her teammate has to name a color, and she better hope they name the right one. Like she better communicate that really clearly. There was a hilarious moment in the game yesterday where the Tali pilot said, I'm feeling blue, and everyone on my team heard that, but Hanu didn't. So it got to Tali's turn, and she played her card, and she was like, what color are you going to name? And he was like, gold? And he was like, what are you doing? And everyone freaked out at the table, and it was hilarious. Misa only has one attack. Her yellow is not actually an attack. It can defeat a minion, but it can't attack a hero. And the handicap version can't even defeat a minion. So how do you make that work? But she works brilliantly. And 32 heroes, and they all play totally differently. I have seen now every hero at least several times each, I believe, at this point. And I would play any one of them in a heartbeat. It's quite an astonishing amount of variety, and there's even more heroes coming as well. But just the simplicity of the card play, you get this hand of five cards and this deck that you can make these cards more powerful as you go, of course, but you have this hand of five cards that feels so limiting, and yet there's so many options. Even on a turn when you're just moving, you're setting yourself up for future positions, and it just feels great. Yeah, I really think this is a masterpiece. It's one that I'd highly recommend seeking out. I think it's pretty hard to find at the moment, although I'm pretty sure there will be a new crowdfunding campaign at some point soon for it. But if it even remotely interests you, if you can get past the fog of war aspect, where you're not going to know and memorize every card from every player, it's very common for everyone to play cards and then for everyone at the table to be reading everyone else's card really quickly, like, okay, what does that do again? What does that do again? And that's fine, and that's allowed. But there'll be many moments where you're like, what? Do you remember what initiative his card was? Or do you remember what attack number was on her card? And if you can get past that, it's amazing. It really, really is. Yeah, one thing I really do want to do at some point is I do want to paint these minis, because obviously they're just gray blobs of plastic at the moment. I will do that eventually. But I'll need to find a new storage solution, obviously, that doesn't just bundle them all together. But that will happen eventually. But yeah, favorite game ever. Highly, highly, highly recommend seeking out a copy if you can. Never fallen flat in almost 60 plays. And I don't think anything will replace this anytime soon. I just can't speak highly enough of it. Oh, one other thing that I should mention as well, I don't have it here, but if you're playing at 4 to 6 players, this is the map that you will use. Once you get to 6 and beyond, so at 6 players you can optionally use another map, and then beyond 6 players you have to use this other map, and it's a 2-lane map. So it has 2 lanes, not just 1 lane. So it fits more players on it. And it's a really, really clever way to solve that problem of like the map getting overly congested, because this map would kind of probably fall apart a little bit at 8 players. It would just get too full. But the 2 lanes approach is really, really cool, and we actually really love playing on that map. And it kind of has, there's more of these push tokens for that side. So each side, I think, might have 7 or something along those lines. And then you need to ultimately like win a push into the opponent's throne room on one of the 2 lanes to win the game, or the hero kill method, of course. And that is, it's a really clever way of solving the problem. I really enjoy playing on it. It also has like a bridge, I think, spanning the 2 lanes as well, so like people can jump back and forth quickly. Creates a lot of really fun plays. So yeah, it really, like, it works at every player count. And I know I mentioned, odd numbered players is not considered the ideal at all for this. Guards at odd numbers is still better than any other game I've played, genuinely. And at even numbers, it's just head and shoulders above everything. So yeah, Cards of Atlantis 2. If you get a chance, check it out. I think it's pretty hard to find, but like I mentioned, I think they're going to be doing some new heroes soon, which will come with the game, the base game and everything. Definitely recommend finding a copy of this. It's incredible. Yeah, 10 out of 10, easily. Love it.